Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, the great Malabite from Calabar.
Ruben, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we'll start the review with Nigeria's newspaper of record this day. Of course, just above the lead story, New York Times, Adeyemo, U.S. Deputy Treasury Secretary to visit Nigeria to bolster economic ties. Yes, the President Joe Biden will be sending the Deputy Treasury Secretary, Wale Adeyemo, to Nigeria. Of course, you don't need to ask where that name comes from. It's like the return of the native son, Nigerian who has done very well in the United States. Of course, American citizen of Nigerian extraction, to put it clearly. That reminds me of many years ago when the first black governor of the United States, Governor Douglas Wilder, came to Nigeria, and I had the privilege of interviewing him. I'm doing a story in The Guardian, and it was titled The Return of the Native Son. I recall that very well because that was the first time I entered the home of the great MKO Abiola, because I followed Governor Wilder down to MKO's home, where the topic was, of course, reparation for slavery. But this time around, this native son, Wale Adeyemo, is coming to deepen ties, with economic ties with Nigeria and indeed the rest of Africa. So we expect him to visit Nigeria very soon. Our own, when he was appointed, we all celebrated that. Of course, another person who is celebrating, Okonjo Iweala, the window story there. My first 30 months at WTO have been exciting, challenging. But the lead story, the front page of this day, history, as NUPRC picks 42 winners for its gas flare commercialization bid round. Commission contracts, KPMG as partner for award implementation process. Of course, the Nigerian upstream Petroleum Regulation Commission completed that bid round yesterday and picked 42. The bid round started in 2016, and there were 222 companies that submitted bids. But again, with that conclusion yesterday, it was started under the watch of then Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku. Now, it is history because the IOCs, international oil companies, have been flaring our gas, of course, the byproduct of oil exploration. That is for almost forever. All entities, efforts to get them to utilize this gas fell flat. Of course, there was even fine. They prefer to pay fine than utilize the gas. But now, Nigeria taking its destiny in her own hands. 42 indigenous companies are the ones companies have won this bid. And, of course, they will commence production under the supervision, of course, the supervision of the process of the award. KPMG will be supervising the implementation of this. So it's history, and the communities that suffer from the impact of gas flaring, it will bring some respite to them, while the nation profits from its gas resources. Kudos to the NUPRC for pulling that through at last. Now, let's see what other newspapers are reporting. The Guardian newspaper, high prices push government homes beyond average Nigerians' reach. For one-bedroom flats, it costs between 7.2 million to 9.2 million. That's the buildings being put, that's bungalow we're talking about. Of course, the two-bedroom flat costs between 9.1 million naira and 12.3 million naira. Well, Whether that will be affordable is another matter. Of course, not many ordinary Nigerians can afford these homes, which are actually meant for the low end of the society. But even the target is to build 6,068 homes in 46 sites in 35 states. So far, only 2,850 units were completed. Others are at various stages of completion. Yes, that's the Guardian there. Now, the other story below this, less than one, no, and also in the Guardian, the other story in the Guardian, less than 1% of unemployed youths benefit from government interventions. Yes, all the program that are being touted as bringing succor to the unemployed, well, according to this report, only 1% of unemployed youths are benefiting, as it were. Now, the Business Day newspaper, petrol imports drop amid oil prices. Subsidy removal hits European market, OPEC report shows. Of course, in the first quarter, there's been a drop of about 17.4% in the importation of petroleum products. Expectedly, all the petroleum products that were going to neighboring countries, Nigeria subsidizing West Africa, of course, has abated in the wake of the removal of fuel subsidy. Vanguard newspaper, forex scarcity sends Naira tumbling to 930 Naira to the US dollar. Yes, BDCs lament dollar scarcity. Analysts disagree on involvement of BDC. Parallel market premium widens. Pressure may continue despite reforms. Expert, yes, the parallel market, the gap widening between the parallel market and the I and E window. So much for harmonization of the exchange rates. But the Naira continued to tumble by the day. Yes, somebody I know very well took some dollars to the bank to pay into his DOM account. And of course, because there were some torn ones, they were rejected. He quickly took them to the parallel market, and the malams there gladly exchanged with some crisp Naira notes. Now, that's, of course, the story of the Naira tumbling is not a cherry one for Nigerians. And people like Rufai, who said this harmonization will harmonize nothing, but the gap will keep increasing and arbitrage will continue, as it were. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, federal government asks CBN to meet airlines quarterly to resolve FX crisis, woos investors into aviation sector with tax holidays. IATA laments Lagos, Abuja airports, most expensive in Africa, yet not the most comfortable to do business or to pass through. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, federal government grant tax holidays to new airlines, others, while the Daily Sun newspaper is reported, the Daily Sun, reps NLC clash over 100 million Naira palliative. It's ridiculous, barefaced lies. The lawmakers are replying, the NLC that claim each lawmaker got 100 million Naira palliatives. They are favored more than other Nigerians, the union insists. Perhaps the legislators should just let Nigerians know what is and what is not just what is not. Because Nigerians are also interested in knowing what was the content of that special prayer mail sent to their boxes. Nigerians want to know. So it's not enough to say, no, it is not 100. What did you get? Now, the Nation newspaper, employers rejects NLC plan to shut down economy. Why it is avoidable by Issa Aremo. TUC awaits government action on proposals. Well, if we just quickly look at one foreign newspaper, yes, let's look at the Financial Times newspaper. Yes, EU launches subsidy. Financial Times. EU launches subsidy probe into Chinese electric cars. Move threatening massive trade case. Bid to avoid repeat of solar panel routes. Ruben? Yes.
More bad stories from Libya.
Yeah.
Over 30,000 persons have been buried in mass graves. More, tragedy has been recorded. And then also here in Nigeria, we keep talking about the flood situation in Nigeria. Yesterday, Ayo brought stories about an estate that was flooded, about Otedola Bridge that was also flooded as a result of the... And then we also raised concerns about Lagdo Dam, Osun Dam, when, they release water, the tragedy that Nigeria is likely to face, and the general challenge. I mean, to hear that in one village, in one country, 30,000 persons have been buried, that's very tragic. The second thing that I think we need to worry about is the fact that parents are now planning to protest over hikes in university fees. UNN, other universities, they've increased fees. And parents are saying they cannot afford it. Although the other side of the story is that if you send your child abroad, you pay more. But it's only a small percentage of parents that can send children abroad. But children should be able to get education in Nigeria. And we still think that despite the crisis in school-to-work transition, education is something that President Tinubu or governors at the state level must prioritize. It's better to have a country of intelligent people, educated people, to have a country of ignoramuses who get to the top, who become ministers, who get national awards with nothing in their heads, and yet they preside over the few who get educated.
Maybe that explains why education is not priority among those who are in authority.
Yes, because you don't need common sense that much to be in authority.
Anyway, on that note, thank you very much, Emmanuel.